Hello there, welcome back to part 4 of my much delayed part 4 of my skirmish redo. I was trying to record this last week and I was having real trouble with my sound. The video editor was constantly, or Windows, I'm not too sure which was responsible. I suspect actually it might have been Windows. Was constantly resetting the levels on my microphone, and the sound was just all over the place. It was horrific. However, it looks like there's been a big Windows update, and I have just checked it a few times here at the start before I started recording, and it seems to be holding its level between setups, between invocations of the sound recording. So hopefully this will go alright. Now, part 4 is where I start to meet the enemy, finally, and in any kind of numbers. And I also finally, it's also the part where I made the biggest mistakes. It's one of the parts where I actually had to back out of battles. I committed myself to battles, and in fact I think I'm beginning to think that in some ways, analysing a battle before you go into it in terms of action points, I must try it at a later date to have another playthrough again, and probably after I play through the campaign, probably sometime next month, I'm going to play through the campaign, and I'll probably do a full recording of that as well. But after I play through the campaign, I might have another couple of skirmish games, because I'm beginning to think that it might be better to assess battles partially with the skull system in mind. I think the skull system is misleading, because the skull system, not every 3 skull battle is the same as far as I can tell. Some of them are much harder than others. And the ones that are much harder than expected tend to me to be the ones that have more creatures in them, or that have problematic creatures that are actually quite difficult to deal with, like trolls, for instance, who have stun protection. Trolls, I think, are significantly more difficult to deal with than regular creatures. And that's not talking about troll heroes, which is another whole different kettle of fish. I think troll heroes are also more difficult than regular heroes. And I think the skull system probably underrates trolls. I also think that some creatures I think are unusually powerful. At least to me anyway. I don't know about in general. I think skeleton arblasters have more of an impact on a battle than sort of a raw analysis of their stats would look like, because of the persistent overwatch. That said, I've never found a skeleton swordsman to be quite as problematical. So the thing is that yeah, I think I've found that certain things like that tend to be an issue. And I also think that at a certain point the game tends to overstate the heroes. I think that hero battles, battles against hero parties, enemy AI factions essentially, can be overstated. So that I don't think that the skull system is a reliable indicator. I think you actually kind of have to look at the numbers. Which also brings us to the towns. Towns are actually, I've been very cautious in this game about towns, because the towns can actually be quite problematical. Generally, the town, once it's developed up and they've upgraded the town defences from the base level, so I think you start off at Fort, Fortress, Castle or something like that is the order in which it goes. That once you're at the castle level, you have 3 additional creatures and a ballista And that can actually make a lot harder to take the town than it would otherwise be. Which is one of the reasons why I tended to favour the larger parties early in the game. Although I didn't do it in this one simply because I hadn't met the enemy. So I just took the opportunity to develop other options as a priority. But now that I've met the enemy, you will find that I will fairly shortly have actually upgraded everything to having I will be upgraded fairly shortly to having a 5-person party. I also think that I have been actually probably underutilizing certain artifacts and stuff like that. For instance, in this game, I have given the I can't remember what the sword is called. The Savage has it. It's a sword that gives +2 action points, +1 armor, and bleeding, but makes attack of opportunity persistent, so that the bleeding doesn't cancel it. And I've given it to the Savage, and it's probably not the smart thing to do. I'm probably better off actually giving it to the Paladin, because the Paladin can heal. I think it might have been more effective. So the Paladin can negate. Now the Savage has the most hit points and is rarely in trouble because of it, because usually by the time the Savage gets down to 5 or 6 hit points, I can manage the risk to keep the Savage out of the fight. Although this particular fight now is going to get close enough. Because I make a mistake here as well. I think I should have come in at a diagonal and kicked the first move, kicked the what you call it, the spider, the house spider off the pot, so as to get the stun, and then not spent my fire blast at the time. Now the spider would probably finished up still alive, but it would have been stunned, so it couldn't make the attack. And then I'd have had the option of the fire blast when there was more creatures around, that I could have done more damage. Although I suppose, if that said, to get back about this, the sword, if the Savage had fire blast upgraded to the point where the fire blast providing healing, or I'd given, say, the Savage the artifact that the Paladin has here, the one that gives the healing when you do 12 points of damage. That also would mitigate the effect of giving her the sword that causes constant bleeding every turn. So as I was saying, yeah, this particular fight, it was more about, or this particular session of the game, a segment of the game, is more about essentially the final tooling up and taking the fight to the enemy. The other thing, while I'm in the making general comments about this particular playthrough, is that I actually found this particular playthrough to be easier than most of the other games of the skirmish playthrough that I have played since the game was released, or even before it was released. And that may in part also be due to the fact that I did not encounter the AI faction until very late in the game. And before the AI, I think, had recovered from its effort, shall we say, in overcoming the other faction. So you start out, I think, by default with 3 factions and 5 towns. So we're, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks in game time. So each day is a turn. So 4 weeks would be 28 to 35 turns into the game. So 28 to 35 turns into the game, I have reached the point where I am actually quite strong. I have most of my town buildings built. I think there's one remaining to be built where I've been constrained by magic, so I've managed to acquire some mana generators. And there is a limited number of guild upgrades that I have yet to get. But I've gotten the most important ones. So I've got a pretty strong party with most of the upgrades. And I've also got parties with a lot of experience. Like the Savage character is, I think, level 14 or 15 or something like that. Level 14. So that's pretty high level, and we're actually at the point where we're one upgrade away from reaching the maximum on that particular trait or ability, or whatever you want to call it. The Bloodlust. I'm practically at that one, reaching its cap. So that's a very powerful character. The character has a lot of utility and a lot of capability in comparison to, say, to a beginning character or to a lower level characters. Whereas the AI, I think, has probably suffered quite a lot of casualties en route. So I am actually going to be meeting, for the most part, AI parties that are not my equal. I will have a significant advantage over. Whereas in the normal course of events in a skirmish game, what I have found is that you tend to meet the AI in week 2, week 3. You'll probably see their early activity in week 2. And usually, depending on how the AI feels about it, or whether the AI has met another AI or not, the AI can breach the frontier, the world. Every frontier generally there's a couple of exits into the next block of terrain, so the maps are laid out in blocks. And each block has like 3 exits usually, so they're rectangular in shape, so there's usually 1 exit on the short side, 2 on the long side. And there's a garrison of some sort on these exits, which are usually quite strong, usually much too difficult to take on week 1. And I personally wouldn't be inclined to take them on week 2, but if the AI wants to take them on, I'll let it, because I think the risk of losing a party member is actually too high. But if the AI takes them on and loses a party member, well, that makes the AI party more manageable. So what I have often found is in the regular course of the game that when the AI goes after you initially and finds you quickly, is that in week 2, week 3, the AI can come through and it can actually be quite strong. And sometimes they're actually in a position to take your town. Now, usually they're not really in a position to immediately exploit the taking of the town. They don't have, say, they can't take the town and garrison it, or garrison it with more than 1 or 2. So sometimes they might not even be able to buy a hero from the town to garrison the town. They might be forced to actually leave a hero from their party, which they may not choose to do. So sometimes you can easily take the town back, or they might even have prioritized putting up a building. So sometimes it can be to your advantage to retake the town. So here we are. We're back out into the real world, so to speak, and I'm still in the business of collecting artifacts. Now, this is the one I had tried it earlier and I had to back out of the fight. And here we can see we have found one of the enemy's faction's towns. And it looks to me like it's fully upgraded with five heroes defending it. Which is more than I'd be willing to take on. Now, I would like a party to come out of the town here and ideally weaken the defense of the town, but it's certainly more than I'd be willing to take on. As you can see, I have everything in the town upgraded. I have 1 upgrade slot left, which I will generally choose physics class for the human faction. Here I have a number of options, and that's the one I happen to choose. Now, it's something I didn't actually realise, but you can actually equip the heroes in the town as well. Now I don't have really got the spare equipment, but I have some spare equipment. I still wonder about those boots. Did they actually? I think if they granted the kick ability, but the kick ability has no cooldown anyway, so I'm just wondering. Hang on a second. Right, I just wanted to note there that I've been misreading the magic boots for quite a while. I thought it was the action point. I didn't realise it was the action points that are reduced to 1. But it practically halves your movements. So the idea is you spend 2 action points to get to the same location, and then you kick with 1 action point. For some reason, I actually thought that artifact reduced the cooldown of the attack, and I was thinking afterwards that there was no there's no cooldown on kick, and it didn't make any sense to me. And I never really got around to rereading it, because the first time I tried it, it just killed the movement of the hero that had it, and I just thought it wasn't worth it. But effectively what I think it's doing is it more or less halves your movement. So the net effect is kind of the same, except different. Right. So basically, instead of taking 1 move to get to the enemy at the start of a battle, you use the magic boots, takes 2 moves, you finish up with 1 action point. So the only thing you can do is a kick. But the idea then would be that you'd be in the thick of a battle, in the next the enemies would close in on you. So there'd be more enemies within reach in subsequent rounds, so that it is possible you could do something like kick and attack in the same turn. That might actually make it worthwhile, possibly. Something to look into as well. So, something to explore again in a future game. So we're going to take the Oppression Orb here. Again, a very situational, I think, artifact where you might not want it in every round. I decided not to put it on Elena because Elena loses hit points, and I don't want to lose. There's always a risk I'd lose the character. Now, with this kind of stage of the game in contact with the enemy and a very high level character, I'm not sure that I'd accept the loss of Elena. But as it turns out, the spawn in this particular battle was such that I don't think the Skeleton Arblasters really would have gotten much of an opportunity to do much. Well, they would have made an opportunity attack at the start. Both of them would have. So Cerylea would have actually taken quite a pounding as she advanced. But other than that, then perhaps not. Now we've got options here, and we're obviously going to use Whirlwind. But the question is, I don't want to go that direction because there's nothing else to hit there. I want to bounce the archer off the hut to affect the other characters within the hut. So therefore, we just bounce her back and cascade it along, which is a much more useful activity. Unfortunately, now I have a spare action point that I have nothing to do with. So, yeah, I think I used this archer quite inefficiently. I think I should have made a push attack on the skeleton. That would have knocked the Timber Peller back into the skeleton behind him, skeleton swordsman. And then I should have used the pull attack on the skeleton weakling behind the other skeleton swordsman and pulled him in, and I'd have killed 2 skeleton weaklings and still stunned both of my skeleton swordsmen. Maybe a much more efficient use of the whole thing. So 70% chance here, or we fail. But we get a level up out of it, so we're going to take that one and try and develop that skill as far as possible. Now, Cerealia of the tons of action points. We have lots of options here. Take the extra action points. Run them all in at the start. You could do them, you know, you could take them over the course of the movement as well, as long as you have an action point remaining at the end of your current action. You could always take the drink and increase the action points at that particular point in time. At this stage, the downside from the drink is being completely negated by Bloodlust, because Cerealia will almost certainly pick up an action point in the enemy's turn, because somebody will come up to her and she will kill them from the Vengeance Camp ability. So, alright, I didn't bounce him off anything, so I didn't get a stun off of him, so he could have been stunned already if I had done things correctly. And of course here I forget that I have no attack opportunities, and that was totally pointless. It was the use of a power that made no difference. And here we're just the enemies move, and of course, like I said, I have Vengeance Camp. Don't have a melee attack for the Ranger, which is why the Ranger isn't responding there, which is kind of a pity. The opportunity just never came up to get one. That's because of the randomization now. The randomization of the upgrades that you're offered. So sometimes you just don't get offered the upgrade, an upgrade you might want. Should we say when it's most beneficial to get it, like bow attack is one. It isn't actually terribly high level power in terms of the Ranger, but it's nice to get it early. Because especially if you're playing the human faction, it doesn't matter as much, I think, if you're not playing humans. Because the Grudge Camp, Vengeance Camp is a human town upgrade. I don't think other races get that. That's another thing I must do at some stage in the future, is actually play through the skirmish game with all the different races. So yeah, this game could keep me going for the next 6 months or so, or a year even. Because I will come back to this, I'll play this again. I might only play through the story maybe once. I might not play through the story with every faction, it depends on how much fun the actual story side of it is. But the skirmish game is a kind of a... It's a bit like Civilization, but in a much less time consuming way. Because you can get this 5-6 hours, maybe 10 hours tops. You'll have a skirmish game played through, whereas... I don't know, I could play 40 or 50 hours of Civ before I finish a game. I'm not sure how many hours I play a Civ before I finish a game. That's something I must look into, actually. See how many hours it takes me to play a Civ game. Maybe record one. Starting to play Civ online now with a bunch of friends. It's been interesting. It's been interesting because, as I said, I've played a lot of Civ, but I've played through not as much as kind of Civ experts or anything. I wouldn't consider myself. I'm still a casual gamer. I mean, at heart, I don't play a lot of these things at the ultra challenging levels and stuff like that. Although I have played Civ at higher levels than was default at various times, and I probably could play the current iteration at higher levels than default. However, the thing is, when you play it solo, I tend to anyway, sometimes I will reject the starting location because if I don't get a good production in my starting city. Whereas if you're playing it multiplayer, you kind of got to take what you get. This was a complete screw up on my part. I have no idea what I was thinking or why I wasn't paying attention, because it's obvious I meant to come around and magic missile the skeleton, but why I exceeded and went into the 2 action point move, I have no idea. I just obviously wasn't paying attention. Now I intended to hit the near skeleton swordsman, but it turns out that it was just too hard. So the further away one was the easier strike. Now I screw up here. This is actually a screw up because what I should have done was moved about 1 square forward, then used the long lift to pull the second skeleton, the one I'm facing, in front of me, and then kicked him into the guy and fire, and I got a stun on both. I possibly killed the front guy. And I'd still have an action point. So I could probably have used the action. I'd still have had 2 action points at that stage. I'd have had a stun on both, and I could probably have used the action point to move into the other skeleton that's remaining, and essentially would have finished this fight a round earlier. 2 rounds earlier, maybe. Although I don't know if it'll last more than a round now. Because these are all kind of just more or less dead. They're not going to actually make a difference, really, and of course, in the grand scheme of things. So we got down, we need to give this guy a thump. Okay, he's take another round to kill him. We come here and we just bang this guy off the boundary fence and we stun him. He's going to die next round. Okay, so this would definitely be around here. Move him. I can do 10 damage, can I? Or maybe not. And problem is, you see a man's at the other side of the fence, so we can finish him off, but we won't kill the skeleton. So, thing is, if I stunned the other guy and I was up beside the skeleton, if the skeleton moved away, I would have had an attack of opportunity and probably killed him. And if he had stayed where he was and attacked the savage would have killed him in the retaliatory strike. So it would have been just the skeleton swordsman alive, who was a one-shot kill anyway, and the archer might just have killed him. And if not, he would have died this round. But I think pretty much everyone dies this round anyway, so I think it doesn't matter. Because there's one skeleton archer, Arblaster down. The wizard doesn't quite have a kill here, I don't think. Fire Blast, this goes down to 1 hit point, so we move the wizard away. And we move my archer out. So is this a one shot? Pull the pillar down. Yes, it's a one shot. So now I have just the savage left. And if they get the savage to reach down as far as here and still have an attack, so the slash and dash would do it because it'll still have an attack, and that'll finish this game. So that finishes the there's probably no need for the bolster over there. Finishes the round at this point, and we've managed to clear out this particular fight. So 263 renown. Yeah, I'm definitely think that the renown correlates more strongly with the number of creatures you killed rather than the actual, say, combat effectiveness of the creatures. So, all that for a dismissal note. I think it's possibly worth it. Although a dismissal note is a lot better if you get it early. I mean, it's just an awesome thing to get early in the game, because it can really turn a fight. Because you can go into a kind of a marginal fight with the dismissal route against low level creatures, and you just dismiss the most powerful creature in range, which could be one of the most powerful creatures anyway. There could be all of a dismissible class, but there are sort of the really specialized high level creatures are of what do you call it? They're not dismissible. But that's one creature down. That's 3 action points out of the game, and it can really turn a battle around. So we have another magic item that we've distributed around, and we have a few more moves to make, and I think we can probably make it to the border. And this is essentially a trivial fight because there's only 5 5 creatures. And I have 4 with lots of whiz-bang add-ons. Now, in the latest upgrade, which might be the latest upgrade, but there's a new patch out that I haven't actually played with yet. Certainly in the campaign mode, and presumably also in the skirmish mode, you can now skip these kind of fights in the world map. So instead of me having to come in here and move my guys around, I could just resolve it on the world map. So the computer will going to go blip, and you'd never see the tactical layout. And it would give me a result. So you can see there I can't dismiss the war chief, but I can dismiss the other chap, and there he goes. So they're immediately down to 4, and I only move my second creature. And my second creature has yet to attack. This is just the use of an artifact. So I can come up here, and I can do my thing. So the first thing I do, because I have a spare action point, is move him across the line of sight of the zone of control of the paladin. That eliminates another creature. Now they're down to 3. And that takes that takes Goblin War Chief out of the fight for the next round. And this will take another Goblin War Chief out of the fight for the next round. And I still have essentially 2 attacks to make if I think I'm close enough. Or I can make a move, because she starts off with 2 extra, and 2 attacks. Right, so the Goblin War Chief is obviously nearby, and is the optimal target for archery, because we have 100% guaranteed to hit, and now the Goblin Chief's on fire. So I think that Goblin Chief is going to die next round. Now we might as well get close enough here to kick over the pillar, and then it's a question as to, do I want to use my remaining action points or not, as the case may be. Do I want to close contact? Do I want to just drink the Goblin Fizzy drink, or spend the last action point taunting this guy to make him forward attack? There goes the Goblin War Chief. The remaining Goblin War Chief goes down sort of take his place. And there's only 2 of them remaining. And, okay, not quite dead yet, but close enough. Missed. And we got him. So now it's just 1 critter remaining, and I could actually have gotten rid of that critter if I'd played my action points and artifacts differently. I could have gotten rid of that character in this round as well, because I could have taken the fizzy drink and finished this guy off, and that's it. It's pretty much over. Radio, onward. Blackstone Forest. 115 renown, that's a lot for 5 critters. I don't know, I've killed enemy parties and gotten less. Not sure how that one works either. And here the enemy party appears. Party number 3. Okay, it's time to rally my forces. Why did I not pick up the 8 extra steps? 200 coins per day was worth it when I was that close. Well, I suppose I could only picked up the 8 extra steps once. And we retreated to home turf in order to defend our castle against this marauding enemy party, because they might just make a straight beeline. So I need 2 more rounds of magic collection. We're a good bit away from a 5-man party. 5-man band. Okay, it's going from my farm. I will get to defeat them. Okay, so this is it's an enemy four-person party, is it? Same size. It's rated as a 5-skull fight. And there are 3 3s and a 1. If I'm correct, and I have more mixed, I think, but I think I'm generally higher leveled. So let's see what I've got. Radio. So I haven't got into my character list. I don't know exactly what I've got, but I do have fairly well developed characters now. I should have gone for blind ranger anyway, because even if I had missed, I probably would have gotten the tree down anyway. However, there is only 4 of them, and we do get the initiative. The initiative is a huge bonus. Getting the first move, especially with 2 action points. So we've stunned nobody yet, but that paladin is in pretty shaky ground. And we can go right back and kick these 2 together, which will probably finish the paladin, although it won't stun the other ranger. But it will, it will stun the other ranger because it goes all the way back and hits the paladin dies. So it effectively goes through the paladin position. I don't know, boomerang is probably worth taking as well. Boomerang might have actually been more useful. Boomerang, a range attack on the savage is actually pretty effective. Don't know if that artifact's still in the game. At one point you had an actual boomerang you could pick up. Right, so we have the enemy savage. Comes down. Ranger to the rear. Other ranger to the rear. And it has enough left over for an Overwatch. Must be some kind of special skill or something. Right, I do not want... None of those things are likely to hit, but that's almost a certainty, and the ranger is very likely to move in the next turn. So, we can now work from here. Again, we don't have to move. We do a bow attack on this ranger, but we can just go for the grappling hook. I can swing them into the water if the Overwatch didn't hit. The Overwatch hits and just finish them off. So yeah, just looking at the hit points, I think all my characters were higher level. So we've all got more hit points. I mean, surely, I don't know if the undead get hit point boosts. Well, surely they get something. And well, now I can move actually because there's no Overwatch left over. No, it's a pretty remote chance of hitting from here. So let's go closer so that we can actually hit something, and we have to fight down to 2 enemies at this stage. It is not going to be very difficult. So the thing is though, this was rated as a 5-skull fight. The thing is that with large hordes of creatures, I've had like 3.5-skull fights that were more difficult. Missed, but it doesn't matter because the electrocute get him anyway. Yeah, it's a fairly trivial fight in the end of the day, like even though it's rated as +A. I think it was a much easier fight than some of those extra creature fights, like the one I had to get the dismissal note. Was probably a more difficult fight. The fight up there with the trolls, that is a more difficult fight, and that's rated as 2.5 skulls. In fact, I tried that fight later on and I had to back out of it. This is where I have issues with the it's probably the biggest gripe I have about the game. Oh, another town. That opens up all sorts of interesting possibilities, because if I could take both those towns in rapid succession, and this town is admitted to the party. Thing is, you see that. Oh well, okay, it's still 5 there, and it's still quite difficult. But this is rated as a 3, and it's 5-man party. Now that means I need to up my game pretty quickly. But the thing is, they're all first level characters. So, and I have now got points for physics class. So now my town is fully upgraded. I can't improve it any further. All that remains really are the guild upgrades. And I have 461, so I need 800 for party size 2. The thing is, if I can flip the 2 towns early, that puts me in a very strong position. I have a lot of money. So I can buy garrison for the town more or less straight away. The chances are that both of those towns are fully upgraded in terms of buildings. So I can't change that. And this, that's only a 4-man party. And 2 of them are already nicely lined up for a kick. Which is going to make a big difference, because it means that guy in front is, was a wizard, is stunned. So we already have a stunned enemy. So as I was saying, the thing is, if I can flip the 2 towns pretty quickly now, I'm in a strong position, because then I have the more or less the cash to garrison the towns instantly. So it is difficult for the enemy to take the towns back. And I get extra benefits from these towns, because I get the benefits that the town tribal bonuses are. So I get the goblin weapon bleeding bonuses, I get the extra goblin armor stuff, I get one of them is an undead, so I think I get this is an undead armor thing. There's various other specifically faction specific benefits that are also then applied to my own regular parties, even though, you know, the party is a different faction. I still get the benefits of all the towns. So that's pretty potent. And of course, now I've managed to kick across, and I've created a second alignment, which I can then use the push arrow to take advantage of. So, okay, didn't quite reach. Right. Probably not now. The safe one is just to go with the nearest target, which is kind of what I finish up doing. I think it actually might have been worth going with the wizard. Thing is, I have another alignment. Do I have another alignment across the top? Do I have anybody left to move? I had the savage left to move. So I have another, I think, because the wizard with stunned is aligned to the character that's behind the one I'm shooting at. And if I can get the savage up there, I think I can take advantage of that alignment. Now, I might not get a stun out of the second character because I won't be able to get the double hit. Yeah, they're actually aligned. But I didn't go for it. I didn't spot that alignment. And that was a mistake on my part. And I think I make a second mistake here. Now, that's okay. But I should, yeah. That's probably okay. That's possibly a waste. Although they're down to 1 hit point, aren't they? And they're going to die anyway on the return attack. I did get the second guy stunned. This wizard runs all the way to the back, so does this one. And now I have to reverse my direction, which is actually a bit of a problem because I can make it back to here, and that gets rid of him. And this guy is way further back, so really is 8, 7, 8, and 15, yes. So I way outclassed these guys. They were all, what, first level was it? Or no, 3 3s and 1. So I way outclassed this party. That turns out to be the easier attack. And the problem is my Savage is pinned in place by the last attack that was made on it. Made on her. So I think I might have been better if I used a regular weapon here rather than the grappling hook. Because I'd have done more damage with a regular weapon and I was never able to get the secondary attack because I forgot that I couldn't move the Savage, even though I had the hit points to make it down, or the action points to make it down. Because I was pinned in place, I can't actually move, so it doesn't matter. And I don't have the range to taunt, so I can't force that wizard to try and attack Savage, which would take it well out of position and make it a lot easier for me. I have a stunned paladin, but it's not going to really make much of a difference because I will have 3 moving characters anyway. Okay, 50%, not great odds. We can do better here, and we can make a double attack at 100%. Yeah, and we can do that again, which will solve the problem. I don't even need to bring the Savage down. Game over. Forest of Desolation, 97 renown. So 1 character less than the border fight, and it's worth, I suppose, similar amount of. So yeah, looks like numbers has a lot to do with renown. It's not something I've ever really established, but I think I had 5 characters in the border fight, and I got 115 renown, and I got about 97. Was it there? Right, now here is where I do something very mistaken. So we start off, we go for that fight, and that's 3.5, but it's, what, 16, 18 creatures. And I actually went for it. It's supposed to be 3.5 skull. Should be easy. 2.5 skull, is it? 2.5 skull, so it should be easier than the last fight, according to the skull rating system. And I actually had to back out of it. I lost 2 characters in the second move or something like that. So I couldn't actually accept the results because they're high level characters, and at this stage, would it have cost me the game? Maybe not, because I still had a reasonably high level party. Although I'd lose a ton of really good artifacts. So it would definitely have been a struggle. It would have made it much more of a struggle if I had accepted that. I don't know if I would have lost me the game. I don't think that's a certainty. This is a much easier fight because there's only 4, 6, 7 characters, 7 creatures to fight with a moderately high level party, and turns out to be just not as much of a problem. Now I want to make my 2 attacks here if I possibly can, so we're going to go with Whirlwind, and then we're going to go with Electrocute because somebody's going to move at the start. And the Ranger has a bit more flexibility here, so we're going to have different things that I can do. But there's 2 people lined up there, and it's just too tempting to not go for the shot. That's 2 stunned, and then I can, if I possibly could, I could make an extra full attack. But I go for the Overwatch, which is justifiable as well. Overwatch is a good possibility. And here we have won't reach. It would be very useful if I could reach. So we take the potion of speed, gives me some extra distance, and I could reach either target. In some ways, the bomber might have been a better target, but anyway. This is what we choose to do. And off we go. There's a level up out of that. We go shield him. Now I'll make another. Well, no, not this is okay. But I have a wizard left to move, and I finish up making a mistake here because I go directly behind. I go directly behind the savage, and that wouldn't be too bad because I have a movement point left. And if I use the movement point to move into a different line, I'm going to cover. It would have been okay, but because I didn't. Okay, I get that hit off, which I wouldn't have done if I'd moved. But now I've lost 2 action points effectively from the stunning of the savage. So the goblins advanced there with the electrocute right up to my wizard. The thing is, that goblin's now practically dead. It's got like 1 hit point or 2 hit points left. Quite a few goblin shaman, and they're difficult enough because they have the ability to heal up their comrades. Now, usually you have to kind of give the frontline goblins a bit of a kick in order to get them to do it, but when they do it, I think they can restore, to a number of goblins, they can restore 3 hit points in a turn. They can do that once. I don't know what the cooldown on it is. But it takes a full round, so they kick it off in their round and it keeps going to the start of the next round. They can also do a heal. It heals 4 hit points, but it's a 1-on-1. Creates a kind of a connection beam of green light from one to the next. And then again it starts and they do it on their round and it continues on. It's not like a potion which is an insta-heal. Right, so I've paid for the 2 of them in a row there, and I'm going to have to move my wizard. And I have 2 action points remaining now. I only have a good target there, so I just go for the Overwatch and don't do anything else. Radio. More whirlwinds, just too far away, doesn't affect Overwatch. And here we go, one of those heals. So that's one of the heals that I was talking about. That would heal all the goblins within a certain range. This gets hit by an Overwatch, and it also goes for an overall heal. I think it just moved in order to get more goblins into the range. Now that was an extremely lucky attack opportunity. Mostly because when it blew up, it didn't injure the savage. Cliff actually shielded the savage. It's quite weird. I've actually not seen that happen before. But the savage could have lost 8 points there. Now I have a, what you call it here. I don't want the wizard where she currently is. I don't really advance into the middle of the enemy with a wizard. I don't have a lot of hit points, especially into the teeth of an Overwatch. It makes the Overwatch easier. That's a rather chancy long range, but it worked. And it took out the Goblin Shaman, which means that the goblins at this end will not heal. That is actually quite significant. So we take a shot at this guy, we actually get the hit. He's got 1 hit point left. And if he moves, he's going to trigger the Overwatch, and that's also going to give me, it's going to get rid of him. Like. So we stun the remaining Goblin Bomber, and we have our wizard to do something. So the wizard has only got 1 attack. And we miss. However, we stun Goblin Bomber. All the goblins at this end have healed. And the other one's doing a secondary healing. Still going to die. So I've whittled them down at this end. There's only 1 left, really. But this end is much more of a problem. Both attacks have missed. That goblin. Have to get rid of him. So right, I decided to take the wizard out of the fight. So what I decided to do was to use the potion of speed and take the move, which gets me right over. I'm now covered against the goblins up at the sort of northern end of the map, I guess you'd call it, the top end of the map. And I now have just one down here, but he only has to deal with one guy. And he just drops the pillar on him, stunned him. Goes into Overwatch, so if that guy moves, he's in potentially in trouble. Now I can double move, get right up to here. I don't think he's got enough of an injury for me to kill. But we can do the Fire Blast, and it's probably worth it. Because at least it mitigates the healing he's going to do in a minute. Or in his start of his turn. I also decided to move the wizard, put a heal on my savage, and said to stun this guy because I can do it. Right, so how many is left? There's an Overwatch. This guy's under the effects of an electrocute and decides to self-detonate. Point blank range. Fortunately, my wizard has enough hit points to survive that. Would kill a first level wizard outright or a low level wizard outright. This is the other kind of healing I was talking about. So, the one on the left, as you're facing the map, looking at the screen, is healing the other one. So now we have a wizard fully upgraded in her magic missile. Just take a healing potion. Because we're going to go back into the fray and we're going to trigger an Overwatch. Might as well keep going if we're going to trigger the Overwatch. Just take the hit and go as far as we can possibly go. And now I get to attack. Use the lightning because that's the easiest target. So we get a kill there and we manage to do damage to both of the shaman, and we've got electrocute. Now this isn't as good as the electrocute attack, which does I think 2 points every round. This is more of a 1 point a round thing, I think. So we're going to try that. That gets me a stun. And then I can go into Overwatch and I have the Goblin nicely centered in front of me. As close as it possibly can be to trigger an attack of opportunity from an Overwatch attack from. Kick the tree down, finishes the guy on this side, and we now have boom, boom, boom. Just this left. We go by we miss. More generalized healing. Goblin down. And back around to myself. However, we're nearly there. Just one of them remaining, and I think it's just a matter of getting close enough. I have full movement remaining to do. Just get close enough to finish them off. And we do it again. It's a much longer range shot, but on the other hand, I don't get close enough. One forward, but that only makes a difference if they move. Savage can't reach and make an attack. So this is as close I can have to being in a location, and that's only if they decide to take me on. Which they don't do to follow up what you call it. And then we finish them off and that's it. B class B results 208 renown. So that was what, 8 or 10 creatures? Something like that. And it worked out at more renown. So we have some resources here that the enemy have obviously explored. Because they have a farm there. But they obviously didn't pick up the empty bucket. They didn't pick up the magic pool that was lying around, which is really extraordinary considering just how cheap it was. Just march around and pick it up. Back to the action. So we haven't opened up the path to the new town. Okay, so and they've spawned another party. Party number 5. And it ran away, so like a dog I'm going to give chase. That's the 5-person party. It's 3 skull encounter. They're all first level. I would expect this to be actually quite easy. So that is implied to be a more difficult encounter than the one that I failed above there with the trolls. The whatever was 18 person encounter, 18 creature encounter. It's implied to be a half a skull more difficult. Well, let's look at it and see. So, bang. Okay, we didn't get a stun because we didn't get hit once, but still. We've hit both of them at the start. Nobody's nicely lined up here for an immediate kicking. There's one in. We could in principle make a second attack. We don't actually have. Nobody's eligible for dismissal. Note that second attack missed. Here we've an option for a number of attacks, including attacks from a similar location. And once again, so okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to use our 2 action points to get right up, and then use the push. So that will finish up with 2 of the enemy party stunned. Oh no, one of them stunned. And fire attack at the other one with 2 points remaining. The chances are they'll burn down. Right, now I've got a number of options here. First one we come across here anyway, just kick the tree down. And they're already stunned. So go in the middle of them. Set off the fire. We don't kill both of them. Gives me an action point. Okay. Well, in that case, we can take advantage of the energy drink and get extra action points. And we just finish off another one. And we still have 3 action points, so we can now go back the other way. And get right in somebody's face, actually. So, I finish up issuing a taunt. This guy comes around, triggers an attack of opportunity. This guy triggers a direct attack and a retaliation. It's him out of the fight, so there's only one remaining, and at this point you can run, but you cannot hide because you simply won't get far away enough. We come down after you, we chase. Now I think I finish up doing the kick, but the kick's irrelevant because it's in the wrong direction. Actually makes more difficulties than it solves. So we set you on fire, and that's the end of your hit points. That's the end of that fight. That's the continuation situation back out into the main map again. Radio. So what's going to happen now? Now we've +8 to party steps, so I'm going to start withdrawing back into my own territory. Now I'm going to pick up the magic pool because it's there. And I could have gone further, but I come back for this fight just for the piece of armor. It's not there's more powerful armors in the game. It's the basic one. It's the most basic one, I think. But it will still benefit one of my heroes. And we have a much larger group than what I have faced in quite a while. Clerics, peasants, and foot soldiers. So there's a peasant down. And do we have a good attack? Not really, 60%. Turns out we missed. Not a great attack. Right. Okay, we're going to try a double whammy there, stuns both. And we still have an Overwatch left over, and now we can come along and try something slightly different. So we can get right up to this cleric's face. And we can do a number of options. Fire catches both, cleric's down to 2. He's going to die in the next round because he's going to burn out. And then that's that. Right, wizard movement is probably not the most intelligent I've ever done. However, my percentages are not great. That's probably the best one. Fortunate enough to hit, and the thing is that with Overwatch, if he moves, he's likely to go again, and there's the cleric gone. There's one still alive, I think the stunned one. Right, trying rocks. Overwatch gets him. So Overwatch gets him but doesn't kill him. And we go right to the wizard's face, and we have another peasant throwing rocks. Another peasant doesn't have a rock throwing capability. And we have a level up. Now we're going to do a level up on. We have another electrocute, and we can move. Right, we need to bring the wizard to bear, so to speak. We have a cleric with an electrocute, which ideally I want to encourage that cleric to move. The cleric's actually noted for not moving under the influence of electrocute. Push this guy, he's the next most dangerous guy there, and bring one of these things around here to bear. Slash and dash is the obvious one to take here, and I actually had a second new ability there though. Don't think I realised it. Okay, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Kill. 3 enemy free units left to move. Up. Take away him, and I think we can trigger an Overwatch. So blinds him, attacks the ranger. Ranger strikes back. And that's it, one left. He didn't move, electrocute's still on him, he's getting nowhere to go really. So, Whirlwind. He's already wounded, take advantage of the 2 points per movement, and the first movement also counts, and just take him down completely. So now we're out of it, we have 116 renown for our troubles. So we should have advanced quite nicely towards the 5-man party at this point. And we pick up a suit of armour. And then we better give it to someone. So who do we give it to? We could give it to Luther of the Swamps, and he doesn't actually need the mask of whatever one, the one that gives him experience anymore. And we could give that to somebody else, like Erkil Ostensible. Does ostensible mean anything, or just make that word up? Must look up what it means. Out of movement is round to the AI faction, and as you can see, we're built up the fort. We can do no more there. Guild, we get party size. We're going to purchase party size 2, so eventually we have 3 more things that we can purchase there before the end of the game, potentially, depending on how many encounters we have. Let's see, now we've 3 villages out of 5 scenes, so there's 2 more villages out there. Still can't create extra parties because we're only limited to 8 heroes in the field, so we can have a 5-man party. and one that is considerably less than 5 people. So what, it's a 5 and a 3, or 2 4s. So we have another enemy party. So I could go and fight, or I could basically create the 5-person party and then fight with that one. Which is what I finish up doing, because I can come up here, connect the two of them together, and then we can swap people. One to the other, depending on which way I want to go. So, decisions. The lower group is the less experienced, I think. The top group is the most experienced. I could do it that way. I could have done it the other way as well. In fact, the other way might have been better, because it would have given me the opportunity to create a 5-person party that'd be still very formidable, but probably more formidable than what I've been seeing from the AI. But the 3-person party would be viable defensively against a very large AI party, simply because of the sheer experience of the characters. Radio. Don't have enough moment to go back and re-engage. This guy's going for my farm. Right, I could go for him, or I could go for the town. Town's only got 2 defenders. That's valuable intelligence, because that means, well, A, it means the 3-person party could have taken the town, but it also means that the town's only got, that he's short of cash. Because the only reason the town's got 3 defenders, now this is party number 1, it's probably a much tougher party. The only reason the town's got 3 defenders is now it's got 4 defenders now. Okay, I think that's dealable with, because that means it's got 4 heroes in the town and 3 others. Many nice toys that I want to take out of here and give to somebody else. I'll take the armor. I'll take the healing potions. Does that mean the boots would make, at this stage of the game, if I was using them, would make the attack, a kick attack, cost 0 action points? Yeah, anyway. Thing is, that town is takeable. And of course you can apply healing potions to anybody. So in you go. And we have an attack on the town. So, close enough to engage with from the get-go. So we come along, Mr. Paladin. Come along, Mr. Paladin. Come along with me. So off we go. We've got a wizard. They look like pretty much 1st level characters. They get a stun out of it. Yeah, I think Goblin Bomber is stunned. The Wizard Melody is not stunned. The Wizard is not stunned. This is interesting actually, because I get to use the dismissal now. Goblin Bombers are dismissable. And they explode. Which I didn't know until now actually, because I think I'd ever used them on Goblin Bombers before. I'd used them to dismiss other creatures in other games. But I don't think I'd ever... It's not implied in the rules, like, but it just turns out to be the case that And we're going to Overwatch. That if you use it on it just removes the hit points. So now I have some options. So I'm now going to get up close and use the push to slide this character back. And they get overwatched and they get bounced off the what do you call it? The ballista. And we have a potential hit here on somebody. That's him dead. And now we still have a move and attack if we wanted to do it. Okay, that was no good. And that was a waste because the goblin, the enemy was actually up on the higher level. Right, but on the other hand, we've two of them lined up here. Two of them lined up here, right for a kicking. And off we go. And he's already wounded. And it's going to get overwatched. And it's going to blow up. And it's going to send stuff flying everywhere. So now we're down to 4. Down to 4, and we still haven't used the energy drink. Yeah. We attack. And we can use the energy drink. And we burninate everything around us. So we've killed them with our goblin hero. So we're down to 3. So we run over there. Because we have an attack. And finish this guy. Not quite, but he'll die in the bleeding in the next round. And we have the wizards. This is going to be a one round clean kill. Because the wizard is an option of an extraction point. And I can attack something at 100%. That's the kill over there. Goblin Shaman is... well, I don't know. Oh, I could. Actually, I could take the drink and take another action point as well. Goblin Shaman is stunned, electrocuted, and refuses to move. So, why mess around and just decide not to move and just don't trigger the overwatch and just kill it. So what was that? 4, 3, 7, 7 creatures. Yeah, I think renown is tied to the number of creatures. So now I've taken the town. So that immediately ups my number of heroes that I can have by 6. And I also have the cash to garrison the town because I have 7,000 and something odd. So we go straight to the town. Can't buy any upgrades, everything's got. So moose trampling track, farmer's market, barbed weapons, cleansing hot springs. Well, we can take shoes. Shoes isn't bad. And then we would just buy heroes. Buy enough, buy a mixture. And just keep going through the place full. And then we go around again. And we are now... well, we're looking back at the same stuff. We're just recapping. Oh, that's back in our own town. Now we could actually fill out our hero roster. So we can fill out this party into a 5-person party. And then we can fill out the gaps in the existing garrison so that we have a larger garrison. And there's nobody can just waltz into our town and take it. And now we've 10 out of 14, and in theory we could take another 4 characters and put them into another party. And we have enough money left to do that as well. So this is exactly what we're doing here. We're taking another character and we're making another party, and it's only going to be a 4-person party because we can only put 4 in it. But we've reached the hero cap, so now we have 3 parties, 2 5s and 14 characters in the field. 2 5s and 14, or 4 rather. And off we go and do something different. Rightio. So it's the limited movement, I think, for everybody. Could usefully reassign, but I really want one of those parties is just a scout party. It's just there to cover ground and tell me where the bad guys are, so that I'll know before the basically make the game quicker. Like I have only like maybe half the map explored. And here we come with party number 1 and party number 5, and party number 1 won't quite reach, but we get pretty close and they may attack us in their round. Party number 2 will come here to the town, and again, okay, it's probably fully defended as much as it can be, but it's by low level characters. And in we go and just see if we can take this down. Now again, they're all first level, so I shouldn't actually expect it to take too long. I should have expected the Goblin Arblasters, but I could have taken the Oppression Orb with me in this particular case, so that I could have minimized the effect of the initial attack, just the initial charged contact. Because obviously I'm going to get hit with the Overwatch now. What did it do? 3 points of damage. Not a lot really. And we have a stun on one of them, so we now have a spare action point. We're going to use the Bolt Brace. So I'm a wizard. I'm a wizard and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to use a dismissal now to get rid of something. And then we use the Whirlwind to stun 2 more things. And we still have an action point left, so we can get directly out of the line of fire. Or we can stay where we are and do Overwatch. Overwatch can be very useful in circumstances like that, because essentially what you're doing is you're making the enemy use their action points to aid your defense. I'll probably close off this session after this particular fight, or shortly after thereafter. So now we're bringing up, still my move. Oh, that's nice. There, basically create that, which causes movement, force movement, bangs people off each other and off the environment, and triggers Overwatch attacks and all sorts of good stuff like that. There's a push one and a pull one. We finally get bow strike here. A great percentage, but you know, I suppose we'll take what we get. And we had to know. We have a number of options, but they're not great odds. Push might do better there. It's a 100%, but I don't want to pull. I might prefer the push, get him right off the back wall, but it is not enough because it just one hit, he doesn't get stunned. Alright, that counter wasn't lying on the ground, it was actually probably the area that that creature was in. A savage with lots and lots of movement points. Even before you start now, the savage has a lot of movement points because of the sword. So, actions speak louder than words, get lots of people stunned. Excellent. Can trigger more. Go do more again. Yeah, I should have saved the fire blast for that one. And use the attack. Yeah, that would have been more efficient. Use the attack in the other one, save the fire blast for that one, and I would have gotten a lot more kills. So we go to here. We kick off another action point. Or we could kick off another action point as well. Right, let's describe that guy and now what do we do? Now we have options. Lightning, we managed to get a few strikes in. Get to level up out of it. What do we got left? 4 left. Get to the final one on Fire Blast, so yeah, does that affect? I don't know what exactly it is, I can't remember the final one. And their move. He does a thing. Decides not to move, but he has only 1 action. Okay, so what can we do? What can we do from here? We don't have to start with the paladin. We can start with somebody else, like the wizard. And the wizard can... well, can move, you know, can hit you. 62%, not great odds, but it's enough. And we can overwatch. So that gets rid of the enemy overwatch. They're down to like 3 attacks. Yeah. You shoot the guy beside me. Right, so we go Overwatch as well. Now here we have a choice. Right. So we're braced. We're braced, but I'm not too sure. We've 2 movements left. Okay, right, that's not so bad. With 2 action points left, we have okay, that guy's electrocuted. And what do you call it? We give the extra action point to the paladin. So the paladin can now go and finish off this guy. 1 hit should do it, unless he's fortified up. And now we can move again. So that could very well split the attention of the remaining 2 enemy units. Now, what do you call it's gone. And therefore I get the grudge attack back, and Paladin refuses to move because he knows it would die if it did so. Right, 1 more thing, and Paladin go up, just hits him with the hammer. Okay, so there was no further movement there, and this guy comes along and just finishes the job. Finishes the job, and we are out of bad guys. It was 218 renown, yes, because it was quite a lot there. And they didn't actually get a whole lot of response. You do get, I think, extra as well if you win really well. The thing is, now we have another town. That's another 6 party members, so we could fill up the last party. We could have another party actually with completely new members, and I better remember to garrison the town before I go. However, we're very low on time, so I think I'll have enough to garrison the town. Again, the town's fully developed, so we just garrison up the town. And there is not much more to say because I think I'll pretty much leave it at that. I'll have some movement to do, so I'm going to take the movement. Do we do this fight? Do we have time for this fight? No, I decided not to do that fight. In fact, I can go all... oh, there's another party down here. I'd forgotten about them. That's a good party. Very strong party, potentially. Party number 1. Party number 5. Save the game. And call it a halt for there until I see you again. Bye for now, and thanks for watching. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please press like, comment, share. It really helps the channel out. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.